How does it feel to be the owner of a school bus?
A little strange.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we are officially the proud owners of a school bus, which sounds so weird to say. I never thought that this would be something that I would actually be saying in my lifetime. So I am going to quickly revert you back to the day that we picked up the bus so you can kind of see that quick little journey. There's not much to it because Brian wasn't here and I had to do it quickly during the day of school on my break, and so it was my father-in-law, Brian's grandpa, and then Brian's grandmother wanted to come too. And so we all rode in my car, we all went and picked up the bus, paid for it. So I'm going to go back and show you that quick little journey of us bringing it to the house and dropping it off, and then we'll come back and I'll talk about why on earth we even have a bus to begin with. Oh my goodness, we just got our bus and it's following behind me. I don't know if you can see it, but Brian's grandpa is driving it and then grandma is riding with it along with Brian's dad. So this is such a neat memory to have right now. Oh my gosh, like I can't stop smiling just because we actually have a bus. We actually have a bus. This is so this is so crazy. So crazy. God is so good. God is so good. Okay, so like I said, we are the proud owners of a school bus, and this is something that I am going to document over time because I just want to be able to get the memories of us renovating the school bus. So that is the entire reason that we got this school bus, is we want to renovate it and we want to basically create it into a traveling home. And this is something that Brian and I have talked about for, excuse the crickets and the noise outside, but this is something that Brian and I have talked about for a long time. We have prayed about it for a while, and we honestly, when we first started talking about it, we did not think it would be something that we would actually do. We thought, oh well, it's just a dream, like there's no way that that could actually happen, like that seems way out of our league, that seems highly impossible, all of these things. Well, then the more we got to really looking into it and thinking about it, you know, we were like, okay, this can be actually something that we can do, and it can be something that we can actually make happen. Like it's an actual possibility. Like it's not just a dream, it's not just something that's way out of our hands. Like we can actually make this happen if this is something we truly want to do. So we decided to kind of start really looking into it and really praying about it, and the Lord brought to our attention someone that my dad knew happened to mention it to my dad that there was a school nearby that was going to be selling school buses or auctioning off school buses, and my heart immediately dropped. And it sounds crazy because to some of you watching this may not be a super big deal to you, or you may not understand the logistics of it or like why this is such a big deal, but this has been something that I have been praying about and praying for quite some time. And I just was, you know, putting it in the Lord's hand and saying, God, if this is something that you truly want us to do, or if this is something that can really be a part of our story, then allow it to happen. But if it's not, then don't let it happen. Don't let it be a possibility. Don't let it ever, you know, come in our direction. And as soon as he said that, my dad mentioned that was a possibility, especially close to us, because beforehand we were looking online and there's all areas that always auction off school buses, but it was like super expensive or it was really far off, and it seemed really hard. But when we had this opportunity of a school bus, well, there were several school buses being auctioned off and being able to actually go somewhere nearby and possibly purchase a school bus, I was like, there's no way. I knew that, okay, God, this is a sign. You are starting to put in our laps and put in our lives the possibility of this happening. Now, once this opportunity was put in our lives, there were some things that kind of brought it up and down and up and down, and I started to think, okay, God gave us this sign, but actually maybe there's not a possibility of this actually happening. Like maybe it's in our life, but the actual part of purchasing the bus is not an option, and it's not something that we are supposed to do, because it started to look like, okay, maybe we're not supposed to do this, or the bus that we wanted to purchase is not really looking like we have the ability to it, and we don't want to. Anyways, there was just all these different things that were starting to pop up that we were like, okay, you know, maybe this really isn't supposed to be be what we think it is, or maybe this really isn't the opportunity that we thought it was. So I prayed some more, and we basically decided, after we looked at the buses, because you could go and look at them on a certain day, after we were able to go and look at them, we had to put in our bid for the bus that we wanted to purchase, because there were 3 buses at the time. And when we were, thinking about what do we want to bid, because the way it worked was, it was like a silent auction, to where you put in your bid and you put it in, and that's what you put. Like, you don't get to see what everyone else is putting. You don't get to, have it online, or like a live auction, or even a silent auction where you write it down on paper. Then you go by and you see, okay, they put a bid that's higher than yours. Now I'm going to put a bid that's higher than theirs, and keep doing that back and forth bidding. No, this is like you say, hey, I'm going to pay $1,000 for this school bus, and if someone turned in, $2,000, well, then they automatically get it because they had the higher bid. So it was kind of nerve-wracking because we weren't sure really what to bid, and that's where we were starting to feel a little bit anxious and nervous, like, okay, maybe this isn't the next step we're supposed to take, or maybe this is not what we're supposed to be doing. And so we decided to go ahead and put in the bid, and we just left it in God's hands and said, God, if this is supposed to be the next step we're supposed to take, if this is the bus that we are supposed to receive and actually follow through with this process, then you will allow it to happen. And so we turned in our bid, and then a couple of days later, Brian was back in West Texas working, and I was here, and he texted me and said, we got the bus. And I flipped out. Like, I got so excited, and it was so hard, I will say, that when I found out we got the bus, to be excited, because no one around me understood my excitement. And I felt like no one around me really understood why this was such a big deal and why I was so excited. So it was just really hard for me to get excited, because, and it wasn't that it was anybody else's fault. I mean, they just didn't understand. I mean, if you get excited over purchasing something that I'm not into and that's not my hobby or excitement, I'm going to be excited for you, but it's going to be kind of hard for me to be on the same level of excitement as you, if that makes sense. And so because Brian wasn't here in person with me, it was really hard to be able to be excited and talk about it with someone and all of this stuff, because anyways, that was just the process. So it was really exciting. But when we received the information that we got the bus, we had to go and make plans for picking up the bus and taking it away from the school within that next week. Well, Brian was going to be in West Texas working. He's working with my dad, so my dad wasn't going to be here. And so he contacted his dad, and then my grandpa-in-law, Brian's grandpa, has a CDL, or had a CDL, and so he was going to be able to drive the school bus, because I definitely was not going to drive the school bus. So we asked him to help us, and anyways, long story short, my father-in-law, my grandfather-in-law, and my grandmother-in-law, we all went on a journey and picked up the school bus, and it was the sweetest thing and such fun memories, because my grandmother-in-law has never ridden in a school bus, and she was able to ride in the school bus on the way home, and I was just in my car by myself, but it was so neat to be able to be driving. And I cut that off before I was done talking, but basically it'll be fun memories. I'm really excited about the whole process, and just excited to see what the Lord has in store for us, that we've been praying for this and going through this journey with Him and together. And it's also just really neat because we get to finally call something ours, because we don't have our own home yet. We don't have any children. And so it's just, I think that's why it's also exciting, is because we get to say, look at what we get to do, look what God's provided, and look at what we get to work on. Because, once you get to, your 20s and stuff, you're an adult, you feel like you need something to, you want to be proud of something, and you want to say, this is what I worked for, or this is what God has provided for me. And I feel like that's this right now. And it sounds silly and a little crazy to some people, because it is a school bus, and it's just renovating a school bus. That's not that big of a deal, or that's ridiculous that you're even doing that to begin with. Why would you not invest this money in building a home, or furthering other things in your life? But this is something that we wanted to do, and I'm very excited, and just to be able to see what is in store and just see the whole process. But I'm gonna stop talking because I've rambled on nonstop now, and go take before photos and videos, and then yeah.
Alright, how do we work this thing?
I don't know. I'm nervous. See?
Yeah.
looks okay. They both work.
Never thought I'd be in a bus driver's seat.
Morning, sir. Morning. We're heading out. Oh my god, you scared me.